Hello and welcome to another episode of FPL Expectations with me, Craig. Game week 13 has been done. Game week 14 is upon us very, very quickly. Yes, it's the festive period, the Christmas period, which we all love so much, where the games come thick and fast. But as FPL managers, that means more stress for us in terms of team selections, in terms of captaincy options, and we always have to beware of the squad rotations from the managers. As always, I'm not the one here to give you tips and advice. I always have an expert with me, and today that's Suray from All About FPL. Suray, how are you doing, mate? Good to
Yeah,
have you second time in a week.
that doesn't happen often, but then I'm glad to be here back, Craig. Yeah, so it's been a good week for me personally as well in terms of FPL, and then we have another game week to look forward and another episode with a lot of questions to answer. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited.
We do, and we're just going to review game week 13 for a start, and then we're going to go into game week 14. So you had a monster of a week on in game week 13, didn't you? 64 points for yourself, well above the average. What did you do right? What did you do that we didn't do?
So what did I do right? I think the plan was to stick with Bamford, Adams, and Calvert-Lewin. They've been pretty much consistently returning. So I switched from a two-striker strategy to three. So I had dumped Brewster for Adams, and that has worked out really well over the last couple of weeks. He's been getting those assists and goals, and at 6 million, I can't complain pretty much. And also the fact that I stick with one of the Spurs assets and didn't ditch both of Son and Kane. So that held my rank pretty well, actually, Craig. Yeah, but of course, before the game week, there's a lot of talks about Fernandes and De Bruyne. In fact, I even wrote in an article comparing them as in captain option. But
Yeah.
then nobody expected them to return just 2 and 4 points. But I would luckily take those eight captain points of De Bruyne and run away. But yeah, so it's been good, and sticking with Martinez as well, in spite of the fact that he blanked and he didn't have a game in 1 week. That was a good decision. And of course, I was ranting about Dallas being a bad assert after
Well, he
Newcastle
came
scored
through for
two.
you, didn't he?
Yeah, but then he did score one, so I'm not complaining over that. 7 points. Yeah, so
You
it's
ready?
been
Just get your team up to show everyone what your team looked like going into
yeah,
game week 13.
yeah. Just a second, I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah, so this is how it looked. So just two blanks, which is in KWP and Bruno Fernandes. Bruno, of course, yeah, blanking for the very first time ever in a United shirt away from home. And of course, the Susek call was pretty close, which we discussed as
Yeah.
well in the last stream. Of course, he didn't score and he was on my bench. So luckily, so that's a change in fortunes because of the last 2 weeks. He was on my bench and he scored. So this time, well and good that he didn't score. Yeah, so I couldn't complain much because the average was 42. I got 22 points more than the average. So it's looking tight in the expectations mini league as well. Mariner, of course, is sitting on top, but the gap between the top four, including you, me, Zoo, and Mariner, is pretty close, and we have solid game weeks coming up. So yeah, hopefully some changes in the rankings pretty soon. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about game weeks coming up. Just touching on that, we do have blank game weeks, double game weeks, all coming very quickly upon us, and we will be doing a chip strategy episode next week for all of you out there who are wondering what our experts will be doing in the next few game weeks. So we will do a special episode for chip strategy just for all of you. But going back to this, so that was your game week 13 team. What is your game week 14 looking like, and what transfers are you making?
Yeah, so my Game Week 14 team is suddenly not looking that great because a lot of these guys are playing big teams and are playing against themselves. So as you can see, Adams and KWP play City, Sterling and De Bruyne play Southampton. Like Bamford has a big game away to a top six. Calvert-Lewin faces Arsenal. Of course, Arsenal aren't Arsenal anymore. That's that. Yeah, so I'm not entirely confident about this game week, but one transfer that I already mentioned I was planning to do in the last stream was to ship Sterling out for Salah. But then there have been some early team news coming from Liverpool accounts that Salah is being rested for this week. So I'm not sure about doing Sterling to Salah anymore. Maybe Mane is something that has cropped up in my mind early in the morning today. So Sterling to Mane might be a decision, or I might just take up the fact and roll the transfer because the double game weeks and blanks are closed. Maybe I have a closer look at the options and probably bring in a double game week as of next week. And a player from a team that's blanking in who's playing in game week 18, the blank game week 18. Yeah. So at the moment, if someone has to go out, it might be Sterling, or of course, but Southampton too don't sit back and defend against big
Yeah.
teams. They still play a high line. They still try to score goals. So I think it should be an entertaining game. And of course, Southampton won against Man City the last time they faced, and Adams scored his first goal in a long, long time during in that fixture. So I expect a couple of goals there. So I might stick with Sterling, and I do remember someone asking if Sterling is a good option for this week. Yeah, so of course I have him, but even if I don't have him, he's pretty a decent asset for this particular game week. Yeah, great. So that's
One
how
thing
my
that came out in the press conferences, especially from Pep, was the fact that he came out and he told us that Kevin De Bruyne will be playing every game over the festive period.
yeah
Now,
I
this is something that we touched upon in one of our last episodes, and when we brought up the fact that obviously he's been rested during the Champions League, and probably Pep had this in mind. That the English league obviously has a very congested fixture list, and that's where he was going to need Kevin De Bruyne a lot more, which, to be fair to him, has paid dividends because obviously they cruised in the Champions League, and now they're facing a little bit more difficulty in the Premier League. Where does that leave Raheem Sterling, though? I mean, we just mentioned about him, but
yes.
he played during the Champions League fixtures. He didn't get the same kind of rest that Kevin De Bruyne did. Does that
Yes,
mean, players like Ferran Torres, who was used more in Europe and not in the league, might actually come in during this period?
yes. So one thing that was very surprising to see was Pep being upfront about De Bruyne playing. So that was a welcome news
Taking
for
after
a lot of
Bielsa,
us.
maybe.
Yeah, probably he's looking into Bielsa for inspiration, like forever. Yeah. The fact is that KDB and Edison are just the only two assets from the lineup that are pretty sure about their spots.
And probably
Of course,
Diaz as well.
anyone else. Yeah, probably Diaz as well, of course. Yeah, the other eight,
Yeah.
we all know what Pep can do, and of course there is a bit of cloud under whether Sterling might start. As you rightly said, he played all the Champions League games where De Bruyne didn't even travel with the team. He was left back at Manchester itself for the away games. Yeah, so there is a bit of risk that involves in bringing in Sterling, especially for Southampton. So if you have him, well and good, but there is Ferran Torres, there is Sergio Aguero coming back, and there is of course Jesus still there, Maris there. So there's a lot of options, and even Bernardo Silva, he's been like
Yeah.
kind of frozen out. He hasn't played for a very very long time, but of course he's too another player who can play in the wings, and there is of course Phil Foden. So there is an army of attacking options left for Pep to decide, and him saying KDB's nail means that the others aren't, and there might be there may be huge rotations, which I expect to. So that's always there. So maybe it's risky to get in Sterling just because of the fact that he's been playing non-stop. But of course, we talk like this way, and the Pep might start him. And when we say we are confident that Sterling will start, Pep will bench him. So we all don't know what that guy actually does. But yeah, so it should be a high scoring game. And I feel if the players around KDB just decide to start putting the goals inside from the chances that he creates, I think KDB is in for a very, very good haul against Southampton, Greg. Yeah.
Is there any temptation to bring in Marcus Rashford for Sterling?
Yeah, but doubling up on United is okay. Even though I'm a big United fan, doubling up on United doesn't make me feel comfortable, to be honest. But of course, Leeds play an attacking style of football, just like Southampton. They play. They
They
concede a
don't
lot
sit
of
back.
big chances. yeah, they never sit back. They just try to hit the opponents hard. And of course, United's and Ole's strategy might work out really well for this particular game because it's going to be open. They can they can hit them hard on the counter. Yeah, so it's a very valid point that Rashford could be an option for Sterling, but I'm not entirely confident about having two United
Yeah.
assets in my team. But of course, if you have your wild card still left and you are looking for a couple of punts for the next 2 weeks, because anyways people have got a wild card in game week 16 if they still have and plan for the blank and double, then of course Rashford is a very very good cheeky differential option right over there. It couldn't get really better. I've been getting this question a lot on 2 weeks punts for 14 and 15 because people will be wildcarding for 16. So of course Rashford is a good opposition. So it should be a high scoring game. It Leeds and United also share a very big rivalry, so it's high at stakes. It's going to be a high volatile game. And we remember what happened in the Leeds and Man City game as well. It was open. It was highly engaging, a lot of chances. So we might see a good haul, but I cannot afford that freedom because I don't have my wild card left. So I need to have some sort of forward thinking as well. So, but you rightly said Rashford could be a very great pick if you still have a wild card. Then go ahead and punt him out for just 2 weeks. Yeah.
All right. Just looking at your game week 14 team there, armband has been given to a certain Kevin De Bruyne. He didn't come through in the last game. He got the bonus points. Didn't really come through for us as we hoped he would.
Yes.
Is that worrying going into the Southampton fixture? I know you touched upon how open Southampton could be.
Yes.
But then again,
Yes.
Bruno with Leeds, Leeds exactly the same. They're going to come out flying and attacking United. It could create the space for Bruno, although, like KDB, he wasn't that impressive in the last game. And, 3 goals against Sheffield United, and he wasn't really involved in any of it.
Yes.
So is this another case of flipping the coin between the two? Or
Yeah.
what's turned it for you? What's tilted it in KDB's favor?
Yeah, so to be honest, I haven't changed it from KDB yet. So what was left back at game week 13 is still staying there. So there's a certain Son in between these two, who's also again tempting me because Son and Kane have a very very good record against Leicester, and Spurs generally play really good against Leicester. So the 3 captaincy options for me this week are going to be Fernandes, Son, and KDB. But since Pogba's back, and I could see Fernandes slightly dropping back last week. I wasn't entirely sure was it a tactical tweak or something that Ole has been working on. But I'm still slightly skeptical about Fernandes for some weird reason. Of course, he's a very great asset. But one thing that Fernandes works in favor of Bruno is that he takes shots easily, and Leeds will offer him that space to take shots because they're pretty open. They don't sit back and block out shots. They are got to be open. So Fernandes taking some shots out of the box or from the edge of the penalty area should work out in his favor as well. So I think it's going to be a really, really, really close call. I think a flip of a coin, as you say. For now, my heart is with KDB because City need to really win this game because they've been not consistently performing well for some time. So it's on KDB, but of course Bruno's a very good option. And if you're looking for someone safe, then Son has a very good record against Leicester, and Kane and Son have been pretty much scoring week in week out, whether we like it or not, and then they've been combining for goals. So yeah, these 3 should be the top captaincy options for this week, as we break, at least to me.
Okay, you're going towards KDB. You've mentioned, how tempted you could be for Bruno, but he could be withdrawn a little bit. Have you seen FPL Mariners metric for this week? Captaincy metric.
Yes.
I'm going to get it up on the screen for those of you who have not seen it. And as you can see on your screens right now, the 3 that stand out for him are Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, and Marcus Rashford. Now, talk us through this. You're going against the metric, obviously, in captaining KDB over Bruno. Do you think there's a danger? I watched the United match against Sheffield United. Bruno looked a little bit tired, and he has this kind of games where he looks a little bit lethargic. He looks
Yes,
like he's
yes,
he's running himself to the ground.
yes, yes,
Could
yes.
this be the game week where Ole rest him again, like he did against West Ham, and played maybe Donny van der Beek in that attacking role? Is
Yes.
there a danger of that?
I feel so too, Craig. I feel the same way because Donny and Pogba too could play really well together, and there's of course Fred who can fill in, or McTominay could fill in the third forward role, of course. And Martial also has hit form. He scored a goal and an assist against Sheffield. So Martial, Rashford, and Greenwood could play up front. So so Ole can afford a risk, but then I'm not sure he'll be willing to take that risk because we all know what happened when he didn't play for 45 minutes and then there is nothing in terms of chances being created. And of course, one thing that I've noticed about Bruno is that if he has an off game, he comes out in flying colors in the next game. So he's like really charged. He's really pumped up to prove the critics wrong that it was just a one-off game. So I feel he'll come back stronger this game week, definitely. And I don't see Ole taking a chance to bench him, Craig, not at his position. And of course, United are just 5 off Liverpool at the top, having a game in hand. So Ole might throw everything that he has to maintain some good momentum going forward. So I don't see him getting benched, at least in my opinion. And of course, as Mariners metric says, is very a great option. And Mariners metrics have been always right through this season so far. So yeah, I don't see him being benched at all, Craig. That's at least my opinion on Ole's tactics.
Okay, but you're still going to sit with Kevin De Bruyne.
Uh, I have this weird love story with KDB, so I'm probably going to stick with KDB for now.
Okay.
But if there is enough conviction in me for to go back to Bruno. But yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. Whoever is watching, just a couple of minutes before the window closes, I might be able to get out a proper decision of mine. Yeah.
Perfect. So if you guys are watching this right now, it's not too long till the deadline. So do keep a lookout at Suray's Twitter page. It's at All About FPL, and he will, about 10-15 minutes before the deadline, reveal his final team selection, and you can see who he's decided to give the armband to. But if we follow FPL Mariners metric, he's going with his metric tells us Bruno should be the one to captain this week, followed by KDB, and obviously, if you have him, Marcus Rashford. Right, now it's that time where we're going to go straight into it and answer questions from the community. We sent a tweet out not too long ago. It's a segment where we ask you, the FPL community, if you need any help with your team. And we do our best to try and answer all your questions to the best of our abilities to try and help you navigate this very, very tricky period in the FPL season. It's the one where us as FPL managers pretty much dread because of squad rotation. It really does throw us off a little bit. But we're going to go straight into it. And one of the first questions that did come, that did get tweeted to us rather, as soon as we sent it out, was from FPL Differential King. And he asked us, who's the best differential for game week 14? Now, it's kind of weird when we get the differential king asking us who the best differential is. But in your opinion, Suray, who do you think is the best differential in game week 14?
Yeah, so 2 players stand out for me, Craig. One is Pedro Neto, of course. If you're still looking to ship Jota out or a budget player out, Neto seems to be a very, very solid option. And of course, as I said, for 2 weeks, Marcus Rashford seems to be a very, very, very good option. Of course, they have leads. So and Mariners metrics as will say a lot of good things about Rashford. So if a player is cropping up in his metric, of course, he's a very good option. And I think Rashford is really lowly owned, around 6% should be his ownership. So he's properly classified as a differential. So Marcus Rashford and Pedro Neto will be my differential options. And of course, in the differential blog that we wrote this week, we mentioned Harrison as well. So Leeds have been quite playing good, and a lot of talks have been about on Rafinha, the other side of the pitch. But yeah, so Harrison is also a decent option. But the two that stand out for me are Pedro Neto and Marcus Rashford, differential king. If you're watching, yeah.
There we go. FPL differential king, Pedro Neto and Marcus Rashford for the differentials for game week 14. Ariz and Balaga, love that Twitter handle, asked us, how do I plan for game week 18, the blank game week? I'll answer that one for you. Do keep tuned on to FPL Expectations Twitter page, as we are going to announce a chip strategy episode sometime next week, where we'll give you a whole episode dedicated to navigating the game weeks 18 and 19, where we're expected to see a blank game week as well as a double game week. So do keep posted to our Twitter page, where we will be informing you which experts will be on and how we navigate those 2 game weeks. So do keep tuned into that. Ahmed Hamid asked us, no wildcard, no free hit. How can I be prepared for the blank and double game week? Once again, Ahmed Hamid, please stay tuned to next week. Although it is a little bit tough if you don't have a free hit, that could pose a little bit of a problem. But actually, we'll ask you, Suray. Never mind that. No wildcard and no free hit. This is a bit unique because not many, I would have thought, have played their free hit yet. I think most of us, most FPL managers, have played their wildcard. But just off the top of your head, how do you think he should navigate these 2 game weeks coming up?
Yeah, so without a free hit, I think there's still a lot of managers who are entirely convinced about free hitting as well. So myself being a case just like you, and even Zoo isn't slightly convinced entirely on the same. And of course, he put out a flowchart for assessing every single option, including one wherein you don't have a free hit or a bench boost, or to make it even more clearer, any chip without any chip left, how could you plan for a particular how could you plan for the black double game weeks? So of course it isn't a bad option. What you need to do is that sit through your team and just see how many blank and double game week asserts you got, and we still got at least 3 more transfers before we reach game week 18. So just plan ahead and get in players who play the blank first, and then maybe a couple of hits will get you a lot of double game week players. But in my option of seeing these doubles and blanks for the last couple of years is the fact that it's slightly overhyped, in the sense that the returns from these game weeks aren't that great enough to pull your hair out of your head and plan very deeply. That's been at least the case over the last 2 to 3 years in my knowledge of playing FPL. So it's not a very big deal that you don't have a free hit. So it could be navigated pretty easily if you plan ahead with a couple of your free transfers, and hit here and there will sort you out, buddy. And of course, we'll take a deeper look into your case as well, and we'll cover it in the coming episode midweek with Mariners, and hopefully I'll also be able to tune in as well. Yeah.
Scott Prowse, aka FPL Swing, asks us, full defender worth a shout?
Not really, mate. So I know they got a clean sheet, but then I really don't like the fact that we'll have to go to a Fulham defender at this stage of the season. Their attacking numbers are pretty decent over the last couple of weeks. Lookman's summer has been looking good, but other than that, Fulham defense is definitely no for me. Straight up, yeah.
All right, Dr. Nishan Lionel Canal, who aka at Backpacker49, asks us, whom do I captain this week amongst KDB, Bruno, Grealish? We actually just answered that in our captaincy option segment. So if you're watching it, just rewind it a little bit to our captaincy option, which you can see down below on the scroll. And we answer it. We've given you the metric courtesy of FPL Mariner. And we've also heard who Suray thinks he's going to captain. But that could possibly change just before the deadline. So do scroll back and have a look at it. Do we have everything? Well, our next question is, what time are you guys going live? We didn't do a live one this week because, it's an early kickoff today. So what we've done is we're doing it a few hours or an hour or so before the deadline, just to give you guys the chance to watch this and take any advice, any tips that has been given by Suray ahead of game week 14. Well, it looks like that's all the questions that we've been given. Suray, do you have anything on your personal, any questions that you need answering on your personal Twitter?
Yeah, so there's a couple over there as well. So one has asked me if I should, okay, LS Stefa has asked if I should go Pope or Martinez, any clear up. So, of course, that's Martinez, mate, because they got still a couple of double game weeks coming up. So, if it has been one amongst Pope or Martinez, it's definitely Martinez, in my opinion. So, that is in a big of a confusion over that. And there's another question. I don't have Kane, but I'm going to give the captaincy on Son. Would it be a bad choice to give the armband to Son over Bruno or KDB in game week 14? I think Mohamed Alam has asked that, and as I said you, Craig. So Son is
Yeah.
also definitely a very safer option, captaincy option this week. Not bad at all. They've been scoring goals, even whether we like it or not. And both Son and Kane have a very good record against Leicester as well, and Leicester have been leaking goals for the last couple of weeks. So Son is definitely a very good option. Of course, he's very highly owned, and if he returns, it's going to be a very, very safe captaincy option. So if you're looking to play it safe, then Son is also a very good one to consider. Yeah, and Sweng has put in a couple of questions in my DMs as my tweet as well. Is it
Okay.
time to ditch Chelsea defenders? If I were to ditch, rank them. James, Zuma, and Chilwell. So okay, so looks like he has tripled up on Chelsea defense. I don't know, so maybe doubled up on them. Yeah, but so I
Would you get rid of Chelsea defense? I mean, yes, they might have a few off days. Chilwell is still returning from an attacking point of view.
yes,
Obviously, we didn't get a clean sheets, but I mean, Zuma's still a big threat from set pieces, isn't he?
yeah,
Reece James is good for an assist. Chilwell's always good for an assist.
yes. That's what Zuma has been a beast this season. I think every header actually looks like he's gonna. Every corner looks like he's gonna score one header out of nowhere. Yeah, but then having said that, having one of these three guys would pretty much do. But I wouldn't remove or if you have doubled up or tripled up or if you even have one, because all of these guys have got that attacking potential in them. And of course, once the defensive stability comes back, that's going to be clean sheet back at them. So I don't see anyone removing a Chelsea defender at least for now. So you can have them because of the attacking threat that they possess. But if you have doubled up, I think it's time to wave goodbye to one of them. And it's gonna be close. All three are equally good in terms of an attacking perspective. But of course, Reece James and Zuma are pretty cheaper compared to Chilwell. So yeah, at least one defender would still stay in my team. But if you've doubled up, you can just remove one of them. In my opinion, yeah. Yeah. So
I've seen on Twitter, and it's been roaming about over the last 24 hours in regards to Mo Salah. We touched on it briefly earlier on. But if you are a Salah owner, and I think many who will be watching are, I mean, what do you do? Do you take that risk and play him? And if he comes off the bench and gets that 2 points, do you play your fifth midfielder off the bench, or do you transfer him out? I mean, there are quite a few options that you have in regards to Mo Salah. And if you were to transfer him out, it's easy. You could easily go to a Marcus Rashford. You could go to another Liverpool asset, maybe in Mane if you have a little bit more money. You could do so much with taking Mo Salah out for this week.
yeah, so there's a lot of options, but I don't think transferring him out or benching him is the right thing. So if you still have him, don't captain him, of course, because there's rumors that he might not start. But of course, he's still capable of doing his damage, even if he's playing for 20 minutes. That's the kind of assert Mo Salah is. So if you have him, still start him. But of course, in my case, I was planning to bring him in, but I don't really see that move to make
Yeah.
sense now. But if you have him, just start him, because at least he'll get 30 to 25 minutes of outing. And Liverpool do have a good break after this particular game week. So yeah, I don't see Klopp not bringing him in at all for this game week, because we all know Salah is kind of a player who wants to play every 90 minutes, like it or not, and he's really frustrated if he's hooked up before say at before full time. So I still feel he'll come out, at least play 30 minutes or 25 minutes, and he's more than capable of doing the damage coming from the bench. So if you have him, start him, not captain him, of course. But then if you don't have him, I don't see you uh, taking the risk to bring him in just like me, because there's like a lot of other good assets in Mane and Marcus
Yeah.
Rashford in that particular area, or even Son, because a lot of people have transferred Son out and are like looking for a way to get him back. Yeah, so that would be my stance on the Mo Salah being benched rumor that's been floating out for the last couple of hours. Great. Yes.
Perfect, Surya. We've done a good half an hour with you. I'm not going to take
Yes.
too much more of your time. I think we've done a really good episode here ahead of
Yeah.
game week 14. I want to thank you, Surya. Thank you for taking the time out and some advice, some tips. I'm sure they all really appreciate it. And once again, it's really good to have you back on the show.
Yeah, me too, Craig, and hopefully I'll be back for this chip strategy as well. It's going to be one hell of a stream, because there's lot and lots of options and questions to ponder too. Yeah, so good answering your question as well, guys. So if you haven't, do subscribe us. Yeah, I think that's your part, Craig. Yeah, I'm just going ahead.
No worries, I can let you take it over. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that if you're still keen and wanting to know who Surya will be captaining ahead of game week 14 deadline, there's still a little bit more time before the deadline strikes. He'll be releasing his team and who he's captaining about 10 to 15 minutes before the deadline. So if you're not already, do follow him on Twitter. It's all about FPL. Thank you once again, Surya, and we'll catch you next week, hopefully for the chip strategy episode with some of the other boys.
Sure, Greg. Yeah, bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And thank you all for watching another episode of FPL Expectations. We've had a great time. Game week 14 is fast and it's upon us. If you haven't made your transfers, if you haven't selected your captain, please look through this episode. I hope it helped you. I hope all the advice that has been given by our expert, Surya, has helped you. And yeah, do follow us on Twitter if you're not already. It's at FPL Expectations. Do drop me a follow as well if you're not already. It's at Craig Marias 11. Surya, who's just on, the expert for today's episode, is also on Twitter. Do follow him. It's at All About FPL. And obviously, if you're not subscribing to FPL Expectations right now, which you really should be, please do click down below, hit that subscribe button, and click the notification button as well to let you know every time we upload an episode or do a live stream. Thank you once again. All the best for game week 14. And we'll see you next week, where we have a little bit of something special lined up for you ahead of game week 18 and 19. Take care and good luck for game week 14, guys.